Elements for scroll stopping pins. I discovered Pinterest by accident while I was trying to market my Etsy shop. And so now I help people use it to market not only their Etsy shop, but their website, how to grow your email list with Pinterest and your blog, and just lots of things you can do with Pinterest. Now, why you should use Pinterest is because it is a search engine. It is not a social media platform. So you're going to be able to tap into the SEO. And there is currently 553 million active users. Not quite as big as other platforms, but it is growing and it is a completely new target audience for you. And the other thing about Pinterest is it can help you rank on Google. And my favorite thing about Pinterest is that your pins can last for years. So unlike Instagram and Facebook, when you make a post, it may last a day, it's not in the feed anymore, and then all your hard work on that post is gone. But with Pinterest, people will still be searching for your pin and it can pop up years to come. And pinners are actively looking to buy. They're not scrolling like people do on Instagram and Facebook. They're very intentional with their searches. So they're going to look for specifically what you have to offer. And they're also planning months in advance. So it's like we were talking about, in the summer, teachers may be going and looking for worksheets for their kids, starting back to school. Or you can have Christmas themed worksheets, Halloween themed worksheets, things like that. And so Pinterest is really big on seasonal content. So you can capitalize on that. And you can start pinning like Halloween stuff in the summer because that's going to give it time to index and rank for SEO. And then also what you pin this year for Halloween, you'll still be getting traffic next Halloween on those pins. And then grow your email list. If you have a freebie, you're trying to grow your email list, Pinterest is a great way to do that. Now, the elements for growth with Pinterest. SEO is probably the most talked about, and finding your keywords and where to put them. There's also the pin design, best practices, and analytics. Pin design, the two parts of that is going to be your pin copy and your pin graphic. So the pin graphic is going to catch people's attention when the search results pop up and they're scrolling through. The pin copy is going to be what gets you found in the SEO and what is the advertisement basically for your product to get people over to your website. So we're just going to talk about the pin graphic in this presentation. What we want optimized graphics to do, we want them to show up at the top of the search results, we want them to grab attention, and we want them to be clicked on. And this is just an example of a search return. And you can just kind of look and see like which one of these would grab your attention. Probably the A with the apple, and the letter tracing worksheets, because you've got color to them and it's very clear what they are. Okay, a lot of times people think that they can just share directly from their website. I see this a lot on Etsy. People do it with blog posts too. They have the pin extension, they just click the button and they think, oh, I'm pinning on Pinterest. But what's happening is they're not creating an optimized pin. So you can see the one on the left, this was pinned directly from Etsy. The one on the right was actually created in Canva. It has all the elements of an optimized pin and it follows Pinterest best practices. So we have a clear keyword title, which is paint and sip night. We know what the product is, and we see the potential of the finished product. And then we have our call of action, which is the shop now button. And here again, we can see images that are not optimized. This is just one sheet of the paper. We're, guessing that you can color them in, like what do you do with this? But the one beside of it, it's telling us what it is. It's 5,000 plus kindergarten worksheets We can tell by the picture some examples of what it is, and it's a free download. So which one would you click on? And the same thing with the alphabet practice worksheets. And then with the big A, like, do you just get the A, or you're going to get all the uppercase letters? So you want to be very clear on your image, because a confused buyer is just going to keep scrolling. Now, for your images, these are pretty much Pinterest best practices on what you want to make sure you include. You want to have a tall pen, and this is your vertical 2:3 ratio. If you go inside Canva and you search for Pinterest, you're going to get two different templates. One is the 1000 by 1500 px. That's the correct one. The other one is more taller, but some of that may get cut off in the search results. So you want to use the 1000 by 1500. You want your image to be clear and concise. No confusion on what the actual product is. Now, on this example, I have a ring dish. You can tell what it is because the rings are beside of it. So down on my list, it'll say lifestyle photos if possible. This could be the finished product of your worksheet. If it's a coloring page, maybe you can show the page in the mock-up of it not being colored and then it being colored. Maybe you can have a picture of a child tracing the letters, reading the book, whatever your product is. And then you want to make sure that when you add your logo or your website, avoid the right lower corner. You can see that half of her letters are cut off by the little Pinterest graphic. So that's just something to make sure that you want to put your logo someplace else. The text overlay is with keywords. Pinterest actually matches the keywords on your graphic to your pin description and your product URL. Same with your picture. You want to make sure that your picture matches with your product URL so the algorithm can match it all together and push it out. And clear message of the product. When people are scrolling through, they know it's a worksheet. They know it's coloring pages. They know it's a book. They don't want to say, okay, what am I looking at here? Because they're not going to click. Create it for mobile in mind. Most people access Pinterest on their mobile device. So make sure that your font is large. It's easy to read. You can see down here at the bottom, the cutest GIFs, the little scrolly fonts sometimes is not read by AI when they scan the image, but also it could be hard for some individuals to read. So you want to make sure that everything is very clear. It stands out. Bold contrasting colors would be better. The elements, the colors that she used, the gold was to match the dish. But if she would have used something a little bit more bold and contrasting, then it would have stood out a little bit better. And then your call to action, shop now, download now, visit my shop, pretty much anything other than click now, you want to put on your graphic. It's not really clickable, but it's prompting them to click on the image itself and open up the pin. And then when they do that, then they will see your pin copy and learn more about what they're looking at on the image. All right, now your mock-ups. When you have a digital product, your mock-up is important. And we saw that in some of the examples. If you only use one page, sometimes that's not very clear what your full offer is. So you want to make sure that if you have multiple pages, you're going to lay them out. I find that adding a shadow to your mock-up is going to help it look more realistic and stand out. Contrasting colors as well. And then your keywords, you want to tell what it is. And it's also helpful to add if it is a printable product. So if you have printable journal pages, you want to say that so people know that they're not clicking on a physical journal, that what they are clicking on is printable. If it's a large bundle, you want to say that, you know, like 5,000 plus pages are not all going to fit on a mock-up. But if you say that, they're like, oh, wow, this is a really good deal. So you want to make sure that you include that in your mock-ups as well. And you can do finished product or unfinished product. Like they could have colored in some of these books for the book tracker. I like to do like this to that pins. So you have the blank page and then you have the completed page. And that can work too for like the craft example that I showed, the uncolored in and then the colored in. So you have to play around and see what your target audience prefers. Okay, before I go in, well, I'll just go ahead and say I have several offers. If you would like to learn about Pinterest or get your Pinterest going for your TPT shop, I have a Pinterest Academy. It's self-paced. You go through yourself. We do have coaching calls. You have the option to join our Facebook chat in Messenger, ask questions. It's really supportive. You can do it yourself, but I'm always there to help you. And then the done for you services that I offer is the Pinterest account, audits, setups, management, and then the keyword research and graphics if you need support with that.